Hi, I'm Cindy,
I'm Kim.
and today we're going to look at a profile from a family that reached out to us who's has a really complex, lots of things going on. Been diagnosed with ADHD, has been diagnosed to be on the spectrum, but the parent that I spoke to does not believe that the child is on the spectrum. Has not been diagnosed with dyslexia or dysgraphia, and the public school system refused to qualify the student for special education services.
And
And
how old is this child?
this child started being assessed when he was in kindergarten and into third grade. And the mom finally pulled her son out and put him in a private school. Um, and put him in a school that's very hands-on learning. Um, think Montessori, Waldorf-esque environment, right? So very integrated, very developmentally staged approach to instruction, kind of across the board, and the student is starting to fly there.
Okay.
So the mom is a teacher, an elementary school teacher, and when her son wasn't reading, she pulled out and started doing a structured literacy curriculum with him. And we'll see where that's coming through. Um, the ADHD diagnosis has been difficult to treat because he's not responded well to stimulant medications. And by the way, I did a deep, so the reason I know more about this particular parent is she reached out to me and she actually paid for a consult with me. And so I went over numbers, and so I know a lot more background than when somebody just sends us numbers and says, do a review. This parent actually paid for a consult to have me do a deep dive with her kid, which by the way is available. It's not free, but it lets me kind of help a parent navigate what's going on. So let's take a look at numbers. So we're going to show the first set of numbers for everybody to do a screenshot. So if you want to do an analysis first before we do the deep dive, you can pull up the numbers and take a screenshot of them, and take a look at them. Or if it helps you to print them out so that you can write notes on it, you've got that. So that's the first set of numbers. And that's when we've got some kindergarten and first grade numbers there. And then this is the most recent evaluation. And the mom talked the school into doing a more in-depth evaluation and got some interesting data, which um, kind of adds a confound. Um, and so now you've seen all the numbers. Um, so let's pull it all together. Um, and let's go from the top. And Kim, let's take a look, and I'm going to blow this up a little bit. My apologies, I didn't do that sooner for everybody. Hopefully you can make it big enough on your screen at home that you can pull it up and take a look at that and still read it all. Kim, so just glancing at the IQs,
Okay.
anything pop out at you?
Okay. Average, it looks like an average IQ,
Mm-hmm.
50%, whatever. But what about his vocabulary when he was little was 75%, and his vocabulary went down.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Not sure
Mm-hmm.
why.
Talk about that.
Also, okay. Also, what's the deal with this 82%? Oh, 82% working memory, which is fabulous. Figure weight 75,
So
fabulous.
you're looking over here at the 82 for the working memory.
Yes.
Okay. Figure weight
Uh,
looks good.
okay, and some. processing speed pretty low, 16%.
Hmm.
Coding very low, symbol search very low. Um,
Not very low, low average.
oh, sorry, low average. Okay. I don't know. Kind of a weird spread there.
Okay, what about the matrix reasoning?
Matrix reasoning.
So we've got a 5 and we've got a 6.
Wow. What the wait, so okay, matrix reasoning is at 9% and his figure weight's at 75%.
Hmm.
Okay, explain to me what the heck, how
Okay,
that could be.
so remember, I've mentioned we have ADHD that has not responded well to
Mm,
stimulant medication.
mm,
Okay, so this kid has done 2 IQ tests now, both without being on fully
mm,
therapeutic stimulant medication.
mm,
Okay, and matrix reasoning is super sensitive to kids responding impulsively. If they don't review all the choices and
mm,
differentiate between the various response choices when they intentionally put in distractors, you hit ceiling really early
mm.
and it pulls everything down.
So when you see a low matrix reasoning and then a high figure, I mean, you have that suspicion immediately?
100%.
Oh.
And the fact that there is a 6 point plus difference between those two scores says fluid reasoning should have a giant asterisk by it because that is a statistically and clinically significant difference between those subtest scores. And that index score should be viewed with great caution because it's not, we don't know what it actually means because it's averaging scores that have this big gap between them, right?
Okay, so just to play parent thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, fluid reasoning is the category. Underneath those two, that category or the two, what do you call them? Subtests or
Subtests, matrix reasoning,
subtests.
figure weights.
And that category, those subtests should not be that differentiated.
Right. You shouldn't have that. It is uncommon to have a 6 point gap between two subtest scores. Okay.
Okay, got it.
So there's a
Yeah.
statistically significant difference, which is like
Mhm.
just a statistical test. Okay.
Right.
Then there's clinically significant that says, hey, when we look at the general population, when we normed the test, um, that large a gap between the numbers tends to occur very rarely in the population. And anything that occurs in less than 10% of the population gets a giant red flag. But that gap starts, like for clinically significant, starts at about 4 points or 5 points
Wow.
in most domains. So the minute
Mm.
we're getting into 6 and 7 point differences, woo, something's going on that occurs in a very small part of the population. And that should be a giant red flag to the clinician that something is going on, something is unusual, and you should be asking more questions.
But just as a parent, if the diagnostician didn't put a star or a diamond or something next to fluid reasoning and they didn't know this information, they wouldn't know that there shouldn't be such a differentiation, right?
Right. But you have to remember many school psychologists plug data into Pearson's software, it spits out a report, and that's what they hand to the parents. And the report from Pearson is written, in my view, in psychobabble. It is not written for parents. It is not digestible for parents. It doesn't explain what things are. It doesn't explain how the tests work. It will say things like there's a statistically significant difference between the scores and blah, 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 it occurs in less than 1% of the population, but it doesn't tell them, okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means something is affecting the student's ability to perform on that subtest. It could be a visual perceptual issue. It could be attention deficit. It could be an executive functioning deficit. It could be um, a whole bunch of different things that should trigger, hey, we need to think about this differently and do a deep dive. But school psychologists don't have access to anything else to know what else to do, right? It's not like they can go to my test library and go, hey, let's pull out a battery on visual perception and see if there's a visual perceptual issue. Let's pull out other um, pattern-based reasoning tests and see what happens. What happens when we're only sequential? What happens when we're only in a matrix? So sequential is just going straight across, and a matrix is when we do a 2x2 grid or a 3x3 grid to see if it where the issue lies. They don't have the ability to do that dive because they have so many kids that they have to crank through to get their assessment. And my heart goes out to them. They do the best that they can with the time that they have, and they don't have a lot of resources, but they should say, hey, something is going on here and I don't know what it is. And I don't have resources to do a deeper dive. The problem is it gets them into a legal mire of, if I say there's something going on and I can't test for it, then the district has to pay to have something happen. And the districts don't have the money to spend to send for outside evaluations because they're really freaking expensive, right? And so you got tight lips because the district doesn't want to spend the money, right? They can't.
But the parent can investigate this on. Can I ask a question? Like for each one of these categories with the sub index tests, we can see subtests, sorry. Like obviously for fluid reasoning, it's a huge difference with matrix and figure weights. Now, as a parent, should they be comparing for each category and seeing how close those numbers are? Like, should they?
So 3 points is fine.
Okay.
4 points is kind of a pink flag.
I see.
6
When you say points, you're talking about this. You're talking about the scaled score is 3 or 4 points. Okay, yeah. Got it.
So 3 or 4 points is 3 points is a standard deviation.
Okay.
But while it's statistically significant, it's not necessarily clinically significant.
All right, got it.
All right. And I can't give away what's under the hood behind the test, but once you hit 6 points and it's 2 standard deviations, that is a red flag.
Okay, it's weird.
That is a red flag. Something is happening, and somebody. Well, if you don't know what to ask because you don't look at it and say, "Hey, something wacky's going on here," you as a parent are like, "Okay." You as a clinician haven't been told, "What do I do now?" You don't have the resources, right?
Right.
You can report it. You can pull it up in the report and say, "This is unusual." And suggest something may have impaired the student's ability to function on that test. You can at least, ding, 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 or try and hint at the parent something is going on here. But so I look at it and say, attention deficit, visual perception, executive functioning. Does the child have an understanding of the nature of the task? Do they have internal dialogue for recognizing and talking through the pattern? Did they attend to all of the details? Could they see the layers of patterns? Could they work through all of that?
Okay.
Were they impulsive in their responses? Were they thoughtful in their responses? So when you see a really low score, you as a parent can be asking, and you as a clinician should be asking, what did I see when I administered that test? Did they respond really fast? Did they have long pauses?
Do you tape this one too?
The matrix reasoning, no, because there's no reason to, because it's a response. Okay. It's an A, B, C, D, E response, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 response, right?
I see.
On the similarities in vocabulary, where you're giving me an oral response, I always record the response. Matter of fact, Pearson in their Q Interactive built in recording the responses so you can go back and listen, because one word and one phoneme can change the scoring on a response. Okay. And when a kid is like talking a lot and you're trying to write it all down, it can be difficult to get it all down, right?
Sure.
Here's the other thing. School psychologists don't have a ton of time. They would be up until 2 a.m. every night listening to recorded responses over and over again, right? They're not going to have the time to do that deep dive all the time, but
Mhm.
they can flag things, they can make mental notes. There were a lot of pauses, there were a lot of ums. The student had a hard time formulating response. When I queried them, they didn't offer any answer. Um, a lot of different things.
How would a parent get access to those type of on-site notes that the person was taking?
So, um, it gets into a murky area. So I actually don't want to answer that question because it's
Okay,
a
sorry.
legal question. So
Okay, sorry.
if you as a parent think something weird happened on an IQ test, you need to get to another qualified individual, a clinical psychologist, a neuropsychologist, somebody with a higher level of expertise, and you need to ask them to review the protocols. Okay. I'm not going to open up
That's
any
fine.
of the
Sorry.
rooms. That's okay. It's a great question. Technically, I'm going to say this, technically, as a parent, you're allowed to view the protocols, but if you don't know what you're looking for, it doesn't help. Having somebody with my level of expertise get in and take a look at it, and you're looking for somebody who wants to ask deep questions. You're looking for a clinician that loves to pull apart numbers and understand what happened on the test, and you're going to have to pay to have them do a review. And it's not going to be inexpensive. You're talking $100 an hour, hundreds of dollars an hour to have a clinician go in and do that review. And not a lot of clinicians want to do it because you're critiquing your colleague. I do it all the time because that's what I do. Okay? I don't mean to offend people. My whole focus always is, how do I help this child?
Yep.
How do I help this child?
Yep.
And it is so easy. It is so easy to make mistakes in administration scoring and reporting this data. I pay somebody to independently go back and double score everything I do. Been doing it 25 years now. I still make mistakes and I still catch mistakes. And I am tenacious in finding mistakes. And I put in layers of guarantee and I still make mistakes. So
Mhm.
we all should own our shit. We all should, pardon my language, we all should own that we're human. We make mistakes.
Mhm.
By owning that we make mistakes, we can correct them.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's okay to admit you made a mistake and go back and fix it. You can correct these things because this is a child's education. This is their future. This is their life. Don't, I should stop. I should get off my soapbox,
Yeah.
but we should do it right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that we have beat that horse very dead. Okay. So we've got amazing variability. Okay. Let's do the big thing, which is if anybody was perceptive, they noticed down here that I put in an estimated IQ of 110. Where do you think I got that estimated IQ, Kim?
Did you do a GAI or what did you
No,
do?
I used the receptive vocabulary.
Oh, I didn't
Why
see
it?
that. That's what I thought.
Because receptive vocabulary has a high correlation to IQ.
Okay, that's good to say.
You
Okay.
cannot use it in a legal case, but when a kid is consistently outscoring their IQ, we got a 112 there, which will, again, if you don't measure it with a protractor and you don't do it correctly, that can be an inflated score. But we have lots of places. We've got a 112 there. We've got a 102 there. We have lots of places where the kid is outscoring their IQ, left, right, and center.
Mhm.
Okay. And so it gives us a ballpark. And in talking to the parent about the student, that feels good. By the way, let's talk about this one. Let's jump ahead a
Wow.
little bit. Okay, so the mom is an elementary teacher who has been taught structured literacy. And she went in, and when her son was struggling to read, she taught him how to read and did all the phonemic awareness tasks. And so when the mom went to the school and said, I think my son is dyslexic, they said no.
Look at the scores.
Look at the scores. Okay.
But
Doing
his rapid naming is really good,
well, his rapid naming looks good,
right?
but when we scan down to look at the math fluency,
Mm,
it's trashed. I
hmm
shouldn't say trashed. It's lower than we would expect, right?
And why would you correlate that with rapid naming?
Okay, so a couple of things happen in the math fluency. One is it's confrontational naming because 2 plus 2 always has to equal 4. So it's
Hmm
that same kind of fast, accurate retrieval. Okay.
Okay.
Number two, it's an orthographic processing task. Can my eye attend to the numbers and the operational sign? The one thing that the Wyatt does have, and this is an advantage, is you're doing all addition. It's not like on the Woodcock-Johnson where they mix addition, subtraction, and multiplication. So the kid knows they're doing addition all the way along. So there shouldn't be flipping operational signs in this. So when
hmm
I see those fluency scores low, that is a
hmm
giant red flag of a rapid automatic naming deficit.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. I don't remember
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Um, and so I am highly suspicious that there is a rapid automatic naming. And if this were my student, if this were my client, I would be doing rapid automatic naming, but I would use something different than the CTOP. So the CTOP is a one and done. You do one run. Okay. And if you're not good with the stopwatch, that's it. And again, if you don't record it, you can miss errors. I like the KTEA because you have two trials.
Oh, that's
You
right. Okay.
training and then you do two trials. So we're averaging over the two, right? And it gives us a much better sensitivity. And I will see kids that start really strong and slow down. I will see kids that slow at first and on the second trial speed up dramatically. And it
Okay.
gives us a better picture because we're doing more than one trial. Okay. It also dings you for errors. So if you make a mistake on the KTEA, it
Mm.
counts against you because they're looking for that fast, accurate, accurate retrieval. And I think it would be super valuable. And ironically, it takes 5 minutes. Like
So
it's
her rapid
such a
letter
long
naming was
test.
inflated because the mother worked so hard with the kid.
Yeah. So the phonological processing looks great. Okay. All
Okay.
right. But then when we go in and we look at the oral language, right? Notice
Mm,
the expressive vocabulary is lower than the receptive vocabulary. These
hmm
two are highly correlated. We have more than a standard deviation gap.
hmm
Another red flag for word retrieval or rapid naming issues. Okay. That's the other thing is we haven't done, well, the oral word fluency is a 102. So again, that one, if you don't record it correctly and you don't double check everything, you anyway.
So
Uh,
you said, wait, you said that's a huge, the fact that receptive is high, expressive is low is a huge red flag for retrieval
for,
issues?
for retrieval issues, yeah, because the expressive vocabulary, you look at a picture and you have to pull the right name.
Mm.
So, for example, if we showed a bicycle and we said, "What's this part of the bicycle?" and they said it's the clampy thingy, the clampy thingy that makes you stop.
Oh, the brakes?
Can't come
Okay.
up with a word with brake, you don't get
Right.
credit on the item.
I
We're
see.
looking for that specific word.
And that is connected to rapid naming, kind of, sort of?
Yeah, because it's that retrieval. Can you retrieve the right label for the object?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
hmm
Okay.
hmm
Um,
I think
so,
rapid naming and retrieval can be confusing for people because it
yeah.
is confusing.
Rapid naming is confrontational. I see something and I have to name it. Retrieval fluency is can you name things in a category, but they share a lot of characteristics. I
hmm
can have a high rapid naming and a low word retrieval. I can have a high word retrieval, a low rapid automatic naming, or they both can be suppressed.
hmm
And I will differentiate those. Okay. Um, and we haven't looked a lot over here. So notice that previously word structure for this kid on the self, by the way, I love the self. Not all subtests, but it's a good test. I like the word structure. again, outscoring IQ. Hence,
Hmm.
that 110 ballpark I feel is reasonable because I see lots of evidence in lots of different places that
Hmm.
there's more there. Okay. Um, and then do you understand why the reading was missed? Do you understand why this kid was not picked up as dyslexic?
So reading comprehension, word reading, those are all very low.
Right? Pseudo word decoding is good. Why? Mom taught him
Oh,
structural
because his
literacy.
mom taught him
Yeah. But
how
when it
how
goes to
to
read real words, he tanks because there's so many options, right? With the pseudo word decoding, you follow the standard rules of decoding. When we do
hmm.
real words, we have all of the exceptions, right?
Oh, I see. You're comparing pseudo word decoding to reading fluency. Is that what
No,
you're doing? Or
I'm comparing
word reading?
pseudo word decoding to word reading,
I see. Yes. And word reading includes every rule in the entire world.
right? And then notice that the reading fluency
Hmm.
overall is low, but they
Hmm.
couldn't see it because they were looking at a full scale IQ of about 100.
So it's not low enough to,
So in
it's
their
the
book,
standard
it's like
deviation.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's really not
Yep.
a problem. And look, reading comprehension is okay. So where's the problem?
So again, to the parents, most reports do not come with the discrepancy showing the standard
Right,
deviations.
right,
So the problem is if the IQ is wrong or too low, incorrectly low,
right.
things aren't not going to pop.
And actually, let's do that really quickly. Let me show what happens. Since I wrote this software, I can go in and I can quickly change the IQ. Let's put it in at I think I had a full
At the
scale of
110.
99. So if I
Yeah.
put in the 99 instead, and we print the numbers.
And you're putting the 99 on his first testing when he was younger, correct? Or
I'm putting the 99 in on the more current numbers,
oh,
and
current
we're going to
numbers.
put those side by side now so that you can see all the discrepancies disappear. Okay, so let me open this back up again.
I'm sorry. So you're lowering the IQ score to
So
show
I'm
people.
using the IQ here. You can see it down here where I put in an IQ of 99.
Hmm.
Okay. Now notice all the discrepancies except for the matrix reasoning disappear in the IQ test.
Hmm.
And then as we scroll through, we do see a little bit in reading,
Hmm.
but they would be asking the question, is he making adequate academic progress? Is there
Right.
demonstrated need for specially designed instruction? So they miss all of that.
This is why kids get missed if the IQ test is not correct.
Right. Okay. And
They
then
will not get
they're,
help.
they're going to look at it and say, well, look, you're at 106 for sentence composition. Where's the problem?
Yeah, it's he's
Right?
scoring just where he should be for his
Yeah,
IQ.
he's outscoring his IQ. You should be happy.
Yeah,
And notice that the fluency scores no longer pop as an issue for retrieval.
that's
So
frightening.
clinicians are looking for a cutoff, and if the cutoff is not there, they're like, okay,
No
yeah, so
problem.
he's a little low in reading. We see that all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever. Right?
Ugh, it's so hard for a parent. This is hard stuff.
Right? And so, this is my mantra on and on and on. If you've got a kid with attention deficit and you don't have the IQ right, you miss everything. So notice the motor coordination pops at the 110 and doesn't pop at the 99.
Hmm.
And by the way, there's a standard deviation difference there between visual motor integration and motor coordination,
Hmm.
which to me is a giant red flag
Hmm.
for dysgraphia. Now,
Hmm.
the Wyatt is not particularly good for picking up kids with dysgraphia. They find the kids that the apple has fallen off the cart, is smashed into the ground, and is mush, beyond applesauce. But I don't think it does a great job of identifying a lot of kids with dysgraphia.
And
Um,
and dysgraphia is just as impactful as just I mean, to me, it is very, very impactful on students.
It affects students in all sorts of different ways, kind of
Yes.
across the board. There
Yep.
was a Gort administered, I forgot to throw that in, but that it's not a dramatically different story here. But so this is a parent who understands the school system, um, understands the nuances, wanted to get her son help, and the school is coming back to say doesn't need it. To which I say 100% needs it. You should be
Mhm.
doing intervention. Fortunately, the mom is an educator. The mom is understanding structured literacy. The mom is resourceful. And when I laid out, here are things that you can do, here's a game plan, here are the things that I would want you to work on. She's like, I am so excited. Now I know where I need to roll forward. Now I know what I need to do to help support my son. It is so empowering. And I said, I hope you can mend relationships. It's it's not their fault that they can't see it. It's
Mhm.
like taking glasses off and saying, look harder, you know?
And by the way, Cindy, you keep mentioning structured literacy, and it's very confusing for parents. Because the school says we have balanced literacy, we enrichment programs. That is not the same. If you could use a synonym for structured literacy, would you say that
Phonics-based instruction,
phonics
syllable
based?
types, letter sound correspondence. What sounds does the letter S make? S and Z, right? How many ways can we spell the k sound? Three, C, K, C, K, right? What are the six syllable types? What are the rules of syllable division? Um, Morphology. What's a prefix, suffix, or root word? How do those add meaning? How do we structure language so it has meaning so we understand what's being said? So it's going from the very basics of can I identify letters and then associate sounds with those letters through I can read high level material and comprehend what's in that material. And structured literacy encompasses all of that. Um, and we'll throw up, I've got a whole presentation on structured literacy that you and I need to run through. It's
Mhm.
a deep, deep dive, and parents would really have to want to know. Um, and maybe we'll do that one day. It's a long presentation, but it's super
But it's the
worthwhile.
science of reading. It's how language is acquired. And it's
It's
something we
all
used to
based in
do.
science.
Yeah. And we kind of went to this thing called memorization of language.
It's a
I
whole
don't know how
language
many.
approach, yeah. And if you have
What,
not listened to the podcast Sold a Story, listen to Sold a Story.
yeah, very
It's
important.
available. Very, very, very well done by reputable. It's not a fly by night kind of thing. These are journalists who followed ethical standards in doing the research. And the seminal research that got us there is a book called The Voice of Evidence, published in 2004. I remember picking it up and my jaw just hit the floor. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this for so long. I mean, I remember reading it on the airplane back from Chicago, going,
The
just
voice of evidence in reading research.
yes, thank you. It's an
And
amazing work.
it is an
And
amazing book worth
engage the
buying.
research.
Yeah.
They went back and they looked at all the research literature in reading, pulled out scientifically based studies, and did a scientific meta analysis of the research literature to say what works, why does it work, what effects do we see, how do we see those effects, what happens. And that's what built the term structured literacy.
And
Okay.
it's finally becoming popular again once they
Right.
realize that reading levels are
Because,
not going up in our country. So
right. Okay, so let's talk about what we do for Mr. Stan Wood. So, A, we continue with structured literacy. Okay.
all the way through Latin and Greek, Anglo-Saxon, Latin, Greek.
Yeah, we continue to provide rich literature for him. If he wants nonfiction, we give him nonfiction. If he wants fiction, we give him fiction. We keep him reading. We keep him loving reading.
He can
Um,
listen to books also.
Absolutely. And he is a kid who wants to absorb stuff. Like he likes getting fed lots of good stuff. We go back and we work on written language, breaking apart the six component parts of writing: handwriting, spelling, mechanics, grammar, cohesion, coherence, right? And we work on each of those areas individually, except for the cohesion and coherence. We kind of combine those together a little bit. but we work on those separately. And as those become automatic, we begin to blend them. Okay. Um, we we work on paragraph structure. We work on syntactic structure. Because of the ADHD diagnosis, we work on executive functioning. So we use logic problems. We talk through reasoning of them. We go to the building thinking skills curriculum, and we pull out all of their how did you get the answer. It's not about getting the answer, it's how did you get there. Explain your thought process. How did you differentiate this choice from this choice? Tell me what you're seeing. We pull out perplexers, which are logic problems. We did a video on sheep hop. There's all sorts of great games out there. Rush Hour, all of those games where you're reasoning through, and we're not just when we play Rush Hour, that's the one where you have to get the ice cream truck out the gate.
Mhm,
We don't
mhm,
just do it moving things around randomly until we get there. We actually plan
mhm.
how do we get there, and we try and do it in the fewest number of steps. Um, we build in extracurricular activities that involve vigorous aerobic exercise, especially for a kid who doesn't respond well to stimulant medications. And we get into a clinician that can nuance medication and figure out if there's an optimal place or an optimal medication that will work well for them. And then we actually assess whether or not stimulant medication is fully therapeutic using some sort of continuous performance task. And there's multiple out there, and good clinicians have them. Um, and we have a holistic approach to education and self advocacy. How do I teach kids to ask for what they need and express what their needs are? And we share with them that they are bright and capable. We share with them that they are smart. We pull out their strengths and we say, do you see what you can do?
Mhm.
Every person, every person has strengths. I don't care what your cognitive ability is, every person has strengths. Okay.
If
We'd
this
love
is
to hear from you.
helpful,
Go ahead.
like us. If you have questions or requests, ask us. We'd love to hear from you, and we do this to help parents and professionals. And it's free, and we want you to ask us questions because we want to spread this information. And knowledge is power for all of us. And if you love kids, then you will always want to help them. And this is the best way to do it by learning.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.